Now today and the next 2 mornings, our sessions are going to be led by Richard Coekin, who is the senior pastor at Dundonald Church, where I serve as well. Richard, if you would come on up, we will have a very quick interview with Richard, get to know him a little bit. Richard's going to come up and join me just up here on the front. Richard, thank you very much for being here. Thank you for serving us these 3 mornings with these talks. This is our first time doing this online, but it's not our first time running a conference like this. It's not your first time. When and how did this start?
Well, hi everybody. Really good to see you, even virtually. About 20-something years ago, in fact, it was actually Vaughan Roberts' idea. We were away on a conference together, and he was just observing that lots of young people, particularly university students who were thinking about making the most of their life for Jesus, were wondering what to do once they'd left university, and that often they would be thinking about it while they were at college, but then having left would tend to wander away, and then life would take them over. And he came to me and said, "What should we do to try and help with this?" And so he came up with 3 aims. One was to bridge the gap between college and ministry, to keep in touch with people as they think through how to serve God with their lives. Secondly, to widen the net, to include people who didn't have the privilege of going to a particularly training-oriented church or university. And thirdly, to look much harder within congregations to look for people who, with a bit of investment, could really make the most of their life for the gospel. And so with those aims, we started 3 conferences, one for students, one for workers, and one for ministry trainees. And Maximise has really grown out of that third one, which I've run ever since the beginning, ably assisted by a wonderful team of many people who are still on team, particularly people like Carrie Sandham and others who've just helped us run these conferences year by year.
Now, you said 25 years ago. Why? I know there's lots of other things you do. Why do you still give this time, and why are you still committed to this conference?
Yeah, it is always important, isn't it, to work out whether it's time to end something, and sometimes, I've had cause to do that. This conference I'm still passionate about, and the work of 938, because here in this city there are 10 million people. By their own profession, 90% of them have no personal relationship with Jesus. It's similar across the country, and of course the world is full of people who don't know Christ. And we're reminded, aren't we, during a pandemic, where people are frightened and learning that they're not immortal and not in control. People need God. They need God in life, and they need God for eternity. So the need has not diminished, and Jesus was always right when he said in Matthew 9:38, from which our name comes. He observed the crowds and said, the shortage of workers. There are all these harassed and helpless people desperately in need of Jesus. They're like sheep without a shepherd. The problem is a shortage of workers. And in fact, now more than ever in this country, there is a shortage of workers. And I noticed that across churches, the numbers of ministry trainees volunteering for gospel work is modest at the moment. And certainly I find in our network that there are often opportunities to take, but we just don't have the workers. We don't have people available to take the different kinds of gospel opportunity. So the need of people is as great as ever. And Jesus' command to make disciples of all nations remains. So I just think this conference has been used by God very greatly over the years to encourage people to think about what the next steps would be for them in conversation with their own church pastors. We always want to encourage people to talk to their church leaders. What could they next do to be part of God's plan to reach the world for Jesus?